and 91. Asura-svabhāve kṛṣṇa kabhu nāhi jāne. Lukāite nāre kṛṣṇa bhakta-jana-sthāne. Asura-svabhāve kṛṣṇe kabhu nāhi jāne. Lukāite nāre kṛṣṇa bhakta-jana-sthāne. Asura-svabhāve kṛṣṇe kabhu nāhi jāne. Lukāite nāre kṛṣṇa bhakta-jana-sthāne. We'll repeat we'll read the translation and purport of this sloka, and then the next sloka, which has a longer purport, you can sing that. So, asura-svabhāve, those whose nature is demoniac. kṛṣṇe, Lord Kṛṣṇa. Kabhu, at any time. Nāhi, not. Jāne, no. Lukāite, to hide. Nāre, is not able. Kṛṣṇa, Lord Kṛṣṇa. Bhakta-jana, of pure devotees. Sthāne, in a place. Translation. Those whose nature is demoniac cannot know Kṛṣṇa at any time, but he cannot hide himself from his pure devotees. Purport. People who develop the nature of asuras, like Rāvaṇa and Hiraṇyakaśipu, can never know Kṛṣṇa, the personality of Godhead, by challenging the authority of Godhead. But Śrī Kṛṣṇa cannot hide himself from his pure devotees. Text 91. Dvau bhuta sargo lokesmin Daiva asura eva cha Vishnu bhakta smrito Daiva asuras viparyaya Dvau bhuta sargo lokesmin Daiva asura eva cha Vishnu bhakta smrito Daiva asuras viparyaya Dvau bhuta sargo lokesmin Daiva asura eva cha Vishnu bhakta smrito Daiva asuras viparyaya Mataji's? Dvo, two, bhuta, of the living beings, sargo, dispositions, loke, in the world, asmin, in this, daiva, godly, asura, demoniac, eva, certainly, cha, and Vishnu Bhakta, a devotee of Lord Vishnu. Smritaha, remembered. Daivaha, godly. Asura, demoniac. Tatviparyaya, the opposite of that. Translation. There are two classes of men in the created world. One consists of the demoniac and the other of the godly. The devotees of Lord Vishnu are the godly, whereas those who are just the opposite are called demons. We can repeat. There are two classes of men in the created world. One consists of the demoniac and the other of the godly. The devotees of the Lord Vishnu are the godly, whereas those who are just the opposite are called demons. Purport. This is a verse from Padma Purana. Vishnu Bhaktas, or devotees in Krishna consciousness, are known as devas, demigods. Atheists who do not believe in God or who declare themselves God are asuras, demons. Asuras always engage in atheistic, material activities, exploring ways to utilize the resources of matter to enjoy sense gratification. The Vishnu Bhaktas, Krishna-conscious devotees, are also active, but their objective is to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead by devotional service. Superficially, both classes may appear to work in the same way, but their purposes are completely opposite because of a difference in consciousness. Asuras work for personal sense gratification, whereas devotees work for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord. Both work conscientiously, but their motives are different. The Krishna consciousness movement is meant for devas, or devotees. Demons cannot take part in Krishna conscious activities, nor can devotees in Krishna consciousness take part in demoniac activities or work like cats and dogs simply for sense gratification. Such activity does not appeal to those in Krishna consciousness. Devotees accept only the bare necessities of life to keep themselves fit to act in Krishna consciousness. The balance of their energy is used for developing Krishna consciousness, through which one can be transferred to the abode of Krishna by always thinking of him, even at the point of death. Om Ajnanatimidandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshusa Tam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamini Tinamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Śrī Kṛṣṇa Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas Adigaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So this chapter, Adi Lila, chapter 3, entitled The External Reasons for Lord Chaitanya's Appearance. We find in this chapter 3 principal reasons why the Lord appears as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu during the Pratham Sandhya of the Kali Yuga. Pratham Sandhya means, just like when we have the Gayatri Mantra, we are instructed to chant the Gayatri Mantra at the 3 Sandhyas of the day. Pratham Sandhya is in the morning when the night enters into the day. Then there's the midtime Sandhya, and then there's the evening Sandhya when the day transforms into the night. So this Pratham Sandhya of Kali Yuga, Krishna had just appeared in Dwapar Yuga. Not every Dwapar Yuga, because as Krishnadas Kaviraj very scientifically explains from the Shastras, there are 14 Manus, and that means 14 Manvantaras, in one day of Brahma. And each Manu, he's in charge of 71 Divya Yugas. That means Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, and Kali Yuga. 71 in his lifetime. And within those 14 Manus, in this particular day of Brahma that we're in, because Krishna appears only once in each day of Brahma, we're now in the 7th Manu, which is Vaivasvata Manu. He was the son of Vivishvan. And within the 7th Manu, now 27 Divya Yugas have passed. And the 28th Divya Yuga, that is the predicted time when Krishna will appear at the end of Dwapar Yuga. Very, very specific, scientific when the Lord appears in his original form as Krishna. Because in every yuga, there's so many, just like waves in the ocean, the Lord appears in so many different yuga avatars and lila avatars, so many manvantars. He appears in so many different forms to execute his 2 primary activities of protecting the sadhus and annihilating the demons. But this particular time, the end of the 28th Divya Yuga, particularly at the end of Dwapar Yuga, the Lord appears in his original form for a very specific reason. He comes down and brings his entire Goloka Vrindavan with him to this very place, Śrī Vrindavan Dham, where we all have the great fortune to serve, this Boma Vrindavan. And he does that to benedict the living entities who are now engaged in worshiping the Supreme Lord as recommended in Dwapar Yuga through deity worship. He displays his loving pastimes in 4 major rasas. That's the Dasya Ras, the Sakya Ras, the Vatsalya Ras, and the Madhurya Ras, but in a very special flavor, and that is in Braja Prema. Because this can only be displayed, this Braja Prema, by Krishna himself and his devotees who he brings with him from Goloka Vrindavan. So Śrī Kṛṣṇa, he has just executed his appearance and his disappearance in Dwapar Yuga. When he disappeared, Kali Yuga then began. And that was when the Pratham Sandhya was part of that, the end of Dwapar Yuga and the beginning of Kali Yuga. Now this Pratham Sandhya, just when we do our Gayatri mantras, we're waiting for the sun we see a little bit of the sunlight, we sit down, takes us about 5-10 minutes to chant Gayatri. No, but this Pratham Sandhya, we're talking about 36,000 years within Kali Yuga is the Pratham Sandhya. But Krishna, having just manifest his loving pastimes to the unfortunate souls who are still in the clutches of samsara, in the cycle of birth and death, who have not executed the opportunity given to them to develop their pure love, which is the only purpose of this whole material creation, for all the living entities to come to that standard of pure love for Krishna, chanting his holy name, and being able to go back to Godhead. So Krishna, out of his compassion, when he returned to the spiritual world, he was contemplating that I've just manifested my Braja Leela on the earthly planet. Some people, they could see me, my devotees, they were able to see me as described in this sloka. He cannot hide himself from his pure devotees. But the unfortunate souls who could not recognize me and appreciate my pastimes, for them I want to come again. And being Kali Yuga, of course there's a Yuga avatar. And we learn from many of the Shastras, the Shastra Praman, it's predicted that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will appear, Shanti Parayana, all the different qualities of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as described in the Vishnu Sahasranam, as described in the Mahabharata, and particularly as described in the 11th canto by Karabhajan Muni to Maharaj Nimi, what the activities of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what his bodily features will be, everything is very clearly described, and how only the most intelligent devotees will worship this form of the Lord. So as Krishna is meditating in that way, that I should come down again, there are three reasons why Krishna decides to come in this Kali Yuga. The first is that it's the time for the Yuga avatar. But Yuga avatar, any of Krishna's incarnations could come as a Yuga avatar. He has so many different forms that he can send, expanded for him. And this Yuga avatar, he will push on the chanting of Hare Krishna. So he didn't have to come for that reason, the Yuga avatar. He said, I specifically want to come to give this Braja Prema to the unfortunate souls who are still rotting here in the material world. So that was two reasons. Number one, as the Yuga avatar, and number two, to again manifest Braja Prem, which could only be manifested by Krishna, as he did in Dwapara Yuga, because no one else, none of the other incarnations are present in Braja. And then the third was the Hankar of Advaita Acharya. Advaita Acharya, he's the personality of Godhead. He's a direct anga of the Supreme Lord. He is the Supreme Lord. And he came when Krishna decided that I'll come again out of my own causeless mercy, I'll give this Braja Prem. So when he decided that, he sent his elders first, Madhavendra Puri, Sachi Devi, Jagannath Mishra, Ishvara Puri, Advaita Chandra. They all had to be there in order for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to perform his Leela. So he sent Advaita Acharya, who is described as Sadashiva, non-different from the Supreme Lord. And Advaita Acharya, when he came here to the mundane world and he saw the condition in Kali Yuga, bhakti had completely disappeared. There were persons who were still following the Vedic injunctions, but they were simply following for Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha. Because when you follow the Vedic injunctions, the most you can get is moksha, the 4 different types of moksha. So Advaita Acharya, he was very depressed. He said, these people, yes, they're following the Vedas, but the most they can get is Vaikuntha. They can get Salokya, they can get Samipya, they can get Sharsti, and they can get Sarupya. They can even get the form of the Lord. But they can't touch Braja. No one can enter into Braja unless being blessed by the Supreme Lord Śrī Kṛṣṇa himself. So Advaita Acharya, out of his exemplary compassion, he started to meditate how can I bring Krishna again to benedict all these devotees who should be given the opportunity to enter into Braja Leela? And he remembered one sloka from the Gautamiya Tantra, where Krishna says that if one just offers me a tulsi leaf and a little bit of water, I'm completely purchased, sold out to that person. Such a simple thing, tulsi and water. So Advaita Acharya, his hankar, he was calling so loudly every day, offering just Ganga water and tulsi to his shalagram shila, calling for the Lord to appear. The Lord at the same time, he was planning to appear. He decided to appear. He came down. He manifested his loving pastimes, non-different from the pastimes of Braja in the holy dham of Navadvip, with the same, everyone, there's Gauraganadesh Deepika, written by Kavi Karnapur. Kavi Karnapur, he was the son of Shivananda Sen. Now Shivananda Sen, in Braja Leela, Shivananda Sen was a very special personality. He was Veera Devi. Now, Krishna has two very special messengers. One is Vrinda Devi. We're all familiar with Vrinda Devi. You worship her every day in the form of Tulsi Maharani. She's very soft-natured. She speaks very sweetly. And when she goes to the gopis to bring them to Krishna, by her sweetness and by her nice, compassionate nature, she very lovingly brings the gopis to Krishna. But there's another messenger, and her name is Veera Devi. Now, Veera Devi is very sharp-natured. She will chastise even Srimati Radharani. She said, "You're such a rascal. Here is Krishna putting his crown right at your feet, and you won't even look at him." So she's very sharp, and she, if you go to, in Nandagaon, there are two kunds. One we all know as Vrinda Kund. Behind Vrinda Kund is a place called Gupta Kund. Now Gupta Kund is the residence of Veera Devi, because her main principal function as a messenger is to bring the gopis to Krishna to enjoy. And it's at that Gupta Kund, which is hidden, where Veera Devi brings all of the gopis every morning, and they have the first meeting with Krishna there at Gupta Kund. So Shivananda Sen, he is that very same Veera Devi. He's also the one who brings all the devotees to see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu every year during the Chaturmas. So when one year Shivananda Sen brought the devotees, he was having darshan of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu blessed him. He said, "You'll have a son. His name will be Paramananda Puri." The wife was already pregnant. When they went back to Bengal, the baby was born, Paramananda. Brought him the next year, and the baby was there, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu put his foot out, and the baby sucked the toe of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That was the blessing that he got. So the same Paramananda Puri later became Kavi Karnapur, because having gotten the direct nectar from the toe of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he became the topmost poet. So he described in his book, Gauraganadesh Deepika, who the personalities are in Gaura Leela, who they are in Braja Leela. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he had pre-planned all of this. I want to specially benedict these unfortunate souls in Kali Yuga and bring them back to Braja Prem in the spiritual world. Now, Srimati Radharani, who was always with Krishna in the spiritual world, they were sleeping one night. Radharani, she wakes up. She said, "I just had a dream." She tells Krishna this. "I just had a dream. We were there by the riverside. It looked like Jamuna, but it wasn't Jamuna. and there was a beautiful golden form. And he was chanting, Krishna, 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 just like the way I chant Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. So I was wondering, who is this person? And then he started to chant Radha, 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 just like you chant my name. And I was very confused. Is this beautiful form? He was very golden, Mahapurush, so big, all of the different characteristics of a Mahapurush, the cubits, the width, the arms, everything, so attractive. But I couldn't understand, is he you or is he me? Because he's chanting my name and he's chanting your name also. So Krishna, understanding that Radharani couldn't understand this form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Krishna has a Kaustubha gem. And this Kaustubha gem can manifest the understanding of the jivas to understand Krishna. So he had his Kaustubha gem manifest within Radharani's heart who this Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is, who Radharani had seen in her dream. He said to her, you've seen so many of my incarnations as Ram and others. Why are you so bewildered about this one? So then with the assistance of the Kaustubha gem, Radharani was able to understand that this form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is a combination of the two of us. That's why it's Krishna in a golden form. So all of these things are being described in this particular chapter because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has decided the reasons he is coming out of his compassion, time for the Yuga avatar, time because Advaita Acharya is calling him, and he appears in this form of Chaitanya Singha. So Chaitanya Singha we know means a lion. And he has 3 different qualifications as a lion in the form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. First, we know that a lion, because he has a big mane and his body is very short neck. So he's Singha Griva, short-necked, just like a lion. And then he has Singha Virya. He's very powerful, just like a lion. And he's also Singha Hankara, because when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to chant the holy name, this Hankara is a roaring of the holy name. Now we also have this appearance of Sinha, because in this sloka from Padma Purana, we're very fortunate because there's one sloka here that we read today. Oh, here it is. That there are 2 classes of men in the created world, the demigods, the devas, and the asuras. So this is one sloka. But Krishna, he so mercifully, when he was speaking to Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita, he gives an entire chapter to help us understand the difference in the mentality between the devas and the asuras. And he assures Arjuna that you don't have to worry, you're a deva. And I've spoken a lot about the 26 qualities of the devas. Now I'm going to tell you something about the asuras. So the asuras, as described by Prabhupada very briefly in the Purport to Sloka 90, he says that people who develop the nature of asuras, like Rāvaṇa and Hiraṇyakaśipu. Now we don't study so much in detail the pastimes of Ramachandra, but we do study in the 7th chapter the pastimes of Prahlād and Hiraṇyakaśipu and the appearance of Nrsimhadev. Now when Prahlād Maharaj very humbly was trying to convince his father to give up his materialistic life and go to the forest, particularly Vrindavan, and worship the Supreme Lord, Hiraṇyakaśipu, because of his demoniac nature, became so infuriated that his son was recommending that he worship Lord Vishnu, that he was ready to cut off his son's head. And he said, well, you better call your Vishnu now to save you, because you say Vishnu is everywhere, because the devotees can see, even though Krishna tries to hide, the devotees see Krishna everywhere. He said, you better tell your Vishnu to come right now to save you, because I'm going to chop off your head with my sword. Is he in this pillar? And of course, Prahlad could see him in the pillar. You could see him hiding there. There was Nrsimhadev. Yes, he's in the pillar. Or then I will kill him. This is the asuric mentality. They want to kill God. They want to themselves become God. And he was practically able to do that. He had all the demigods worshiping him and offering prayers to him. He had become so powerful by the benedictions of Lord Brahma himself. So when he struck with his fist that pillar, this hankar, this huge sound that no one in the whole universe had heard before came out. And even the demigods became frightened. What is this sound? It was the sound of the Supreme Lord, the great Nrsimhadev, Narahari. And he had come specifically to kill this great demon Hiranyakashipu, who was harassing his little devotee Prahlad. So this Singha is described in the Srimad Bhagavatam, that when Hiranyakashipu saw this form of half man and half lion, he became a little puzzled, because he was sure that he had completely protected himself from all of his opponents with his benedictions. He said, I shall not be killed by any man, I shall not be killed by any animal. But standing in front of him was a half man and half animal. Well, he didn't ask for that benediction. So he was wondering, what is this creature in front of me? So then, because of his demoniac nature, instead of realizing that now I'm caught, no, he became just like an elephant. Because elephants and lions, we know, according to Bhagavad Gita, that of all the animals, the lion is the king. And that's, we see that he says, you can see me in so many different ways. In the 10th chapter, you can see me as the lion amongst the elephants. So there was the lion standing in front of him, half man, half lion, Nrsimhadev. And the lions and the elephants often fight, and the elephants usually lose. So Hiranyakashipu, Sukadeva Goswami describes, he became just like an elephant and went to attack the lion Nrsimhadev. Now, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in this particular chapter, he says that I will appear as this Chaitanya Singha, this lion-like form of the Lord, as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, to completely annihilate all of the elephant-like sins of the living entities in Kali Yuga. Now, we have heard of the Hatimata. Hatimata means the mad elephant offenses. Not even, you don't have to use plural, because it's described in the Adi Lila in chapter 17, we'll come to it later. Just by one Hatimata, by one offense, at the lotus feet of one Vaishnava, one's entire devotional life, his whole creeper, can be smashed by this Hatimata, this mad elephant offense. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we have Shastra Praman, which is very beautifully described by Krishnadas Kaviraj in this chapter, all of the different predictions when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will appear. But then we also have Pratyaksh Praman, the second type of Praman that proves Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance. And that is his exceptional behavior that the devotees themselves saw when he was present. How he was able, by his chanting, by his dancing, by his compassion, by his interactions, loving interactions with his devotees, how he proved that he was actually the Supreme Lord, Radha and Krishna combined. So this Pratyaksha Praman is equally as important as the Shastra Praman when we're trying to understand the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now, there are particular slokas where at the end, because this chapter is so important, when we are, for the devotees who like to decorate the deities, sometimes we go into the garden, we'll collect the most beautiful flowers we can find, and we'll make what's called a guldasta, a beautiful bouquet. And we hope that maybe it'll go in Radharani's hand, maybe in Krishna's hand, sometimes in Balaram's hand. So this guldasta is made up of many, many different flowers combined together that we offer to the Lord. So this chapter is a combination of many, many different slokas that prove why the Lord decided to appear, the external reasons why he wanted to appear. The next chapter we go into the internal reasons. That is only why Krishna's purposes were. But Krishnadas Kaviraj in this chapter, just like a beautiful bouquet, he picks up the different slokas from the different shastras and the different activities of the Lord, puts them together to make this beautiful offering to prove that the Lord is now chosen to appear as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So in the 85th, it begins this particular part where the Lord is contemplating. First is the Shastra Praman. Srimad Bhagavatam, Mahabharata, Purana, and other Vedic literatures all give evidence to prove that Lord Śrī Kṛṣṇa Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the incarnation of Krishna. That's 84. 85. One can also directly see Lord Chaitanya's manifest influence in his uncommon deeds and uncommon Krishna conscious realization. So that's the Pratyaksh Praman, the Shastra Praman, the Pratyaksh Praman. But faithless unbelievers do not see what is clearly evident, just as owls do not see the rays of sun. So this is the demons that's being described in this 90th and 91st sloka. The demons could not understand the activities of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Even just after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted sannyas, and he was moving around in Gaura Mandala, Bhumi, he was going throughout Bangladesh, and finally he was coming to Orissa. So along the way, he had his associates with him. They were chanting Hare Krishna with him. And many, many people came to hear the Lord, to see his uncommon activities. So some very wealthy people came, and they offered Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that, why have you taken this kopin and kamandalu? You're young, you're beautiful, I'll give you all the money you want, I'll give you a beautiful home and land. You take up this nice life and enjoy yourself in your youth. So they could not understand Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's purposes for why he had accepted sannyas. And then there was one very humble devotee. His name was Govinda. He was the servant of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now, just like we hear about Swarup Damodar, he had a kadacha, a diary. And from this kadacha, because Raghunath Das Goswami had been given to Swarup Damodar as his assistant to learn everything from him. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu disappeared, and immediately afterwards, out of separation, Gadadhar Pandit, Swarup Damodar, everyone was disappearing out of separation from the Lord. Raghunath Das Goswami had memorized the entire kadacha of Swarup Damodar. And then he was going to give up his body also, come to Vrindavan here, jump off of Govardhan Hill. And the devotees begged him, please, you're the only person who saw all of these transcendental activities of the Lord in Puri. You have to tell us these pastimes, as in Swarup Damodar's kadacha. So there was another kadacha, written by Govinda, the simple servant of the Lord. And this kadacha, now who was Govinda? He was born in a blacksmith, a Kamara family. You see them on the road here. They're making the utensils and they're making the karais. Very simple birth. And he was married. And one day his wife highly insulted him. You're a good-for-nothing loafer. You're loud, you fool, rascal. You don't maintain me. Get out of here. So his pride and his anger, my wife is talking to me like, yes, I'll go. You'll never see me again. He left and he just started walking from Burdwan. Walking. He came to Katwa. Just at that time, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was preparing to take sannyas, and he fell in love with the Lord. He was crying, no, don't cut your hair. Just every thousands of people were crying. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he took sannyas, and Govinda Das surrendered at his feet. Please let me serve you. Oh yes, you can carry my shoes. There's so many things you can do for me. You come with me. Then his wife came running. No, that's my husband. Who will give me alms? Who will take care? All of a sudden. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, you go back to your wife. If she's crying, you go back to her. And Govinda says, I will never leave you. I will never do. What is this family life? Now, anyone who's in family life, who here is married? Not many. You're all smart. Intelligent. It's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy on all of you. So, what does Govinda say? He said, you think I will give you up for the saliva of a woman? I'm sorry for but this is the realization of a pure devotee, associate, direct associate of the Lord, who would not leave his association for anything. He would not even follow Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's order to go back to his wife. I won't go back. I refuse to go back. I will only stay with you. So this is the determination that the devotees need. They say, whatever that pleasure is, whatever I'm being offered, because the demoniac nature is, I will enjoy here just like Hiraṇyakaśipu. I have all of my fallible soldiers. I have all of my benedictions. I will enjoy. And they forget that death is waiting for them. The non-devotees, they say, you say your Lord is all merciful, but he's not merciful to the demons. He comes and kills them. That is also his mercy. He throws them down into the lower species of life, lower. Now, what are these demoniac species of life that we read about? Because we read about there are 40,000 different types of human species. So there are also demoniac species. And Prabhupada explains that these demoniac species are like those that you find in the jungles, the hunters. They're demoniac by nature. They don't do any worship of the Supreme Lord. And they simply live by hunting, by killing. So these demoniac species, the Lord throws them. Because in the third canto, it's described, demons don't believe in karma. They believe that by their own work, they can get whatever they want. They don't understand that there's something called Daiva Netrena, because Super Soul is residing in each one of our hearts. Super Soul sees everything we're doing, and he grants, according to what we deserve, the fruits of our work. So Super Soul, when he sees that a person has no interest in the Supreme Lord, he allows him to remain in ignorance, and he falls deeper and deeper into the lower species of life. That's also the special mercy of the Lord, because that's what the living entity wants. He's giving what he wants. So Kṛṣṇa is very merciful. He'll give you whatever he wants, whatever the living entity wants. But Guru is more merciful, because Guru will only give you Kṛṣṇa. And this is why the first step in spiritual life, We must ado guru ashraya. Once there was a foreigner who came here. His name was Richard. We all knew Richard. He came when the temple was just opening. Now, he never took shelter of Srila Prabhupada. He decided he would go to Radhakund and he would chant lakhs and lakhs of rounds every day. He would only eat fruits and milk, and he would live on the banks of Radhakund and just meditate on the pastimes there at Radhakund. So we, all being disciples of Srila Prabhupada, we see this person going to Radhakund, performing all these great austerities that none of us were ever recommended to do. So a devotee asked Prabhupada, what about this Richard who's gone to live on the banks of Radhakund? He's only eating fruits and milk. He's chanting lakhs of rounds every day. Prabhupada very, very soberly, he said, Ado Guru Vashraya. The first step in spiritual life is to accept a guru. And that is why in the beginning of the Adi Leela, the first thing that Krishna Das Kaviraj does is he offers his respects to all of the gurus. One cannot, we sing it every day, one cannot make any spiritual advancement without the blessings of one's guru. Because Krishna will give you whatever you want. Krishna will give you, if you want to become a dog, fine, become a dog. You want to become a fish? Yes, become a fish. There's so many different species. But when you take shelter of Guru, the Guru will only give you Krishna. And that is the difference between Deva and Asura. The Devas, they follow the regulative principles, they accept the Guru, and the Guru takes them to Krishna. The Asuras, they might have their Gurus, but their Gurus can only give them as much as it takes for Dharma, Artha, and Kama. They will not give them moksha to go to Vaikuntha, and they certainly can never give them Braja Prem. So these things can only be given by the representative of Krishna, who is our Guru. So when we hear about these pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, these are not just stories that have taken place 486 years ago. We are all part of the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in this Kali Yuga. Because Krishna, he said he has his angas, he has his upa-angas, he has all of his different astras and shastras. So who are we in relationship to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Because we have taken shelter in the sampradaya coming from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Brahma, Madhva, Gaudiya sampradaya, we are also part of the Leela of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We are part of the Chaitanya tree, because we, by the order of our spiritual master, by the order of his spiritual master here, the Parama, all the spiritual masters going back to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we are all trying to carry out the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in this Kali Yuga. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is directly present with us. And you'll notice, my granddaughter and I noticed this, that everyone is rushing to be in front of Radhashyam Sundar. You can't get the darshan of Radhashyam Sundar, and it overflows. Some people are looking at Krishna Balaram. But there in front of Gaur-Nitāya, it's empty. So we decided, Gaur-Nitāya are the most merciful. You can always get their darshan. Because people in general they don't understand Gaur-Nitāya. They'll come to the temple and they say, who are they? Who are they? They don't know who is Gaur-Nitāya. But we know who Gaur-Nitāya is. We know that they are the most merciful incarnations, and that is why Srila Prabhupada, he decided, when I make this temple in Vrindavan, this is all pre-decided by Prabhupada, that everyone here worships Radhe Radhe. Everyone loves Radha and Krishna in Vrindavan. They all know who Radha and Krishna are. You walk down the roads, Radhe, Radhe. Some people know who Krishna and Balaram are. There's few temples of Krishna Balaram. But no one can understand Gaur-Nitai. They don't understand that Gaur-Nitai, Krishna Balaram have now appeared in this Kali Yuga to give that Braja Prem, that Radha Krishna Prem. And therefore, very scientifically, first we worship Gaur-Nitai to get the mercy of whom? Nityananda Prabhu. Nityananda Prabhu is Balaram. Balaram is Adi Guru. So the representative of Nityananda Prabhu is our Guru Maharaj. So when we're worshipping, when we're serving our Guru Maharaj, we are getting the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu. And they're recommending us, non-different from Krishna Balaram. And by the mercy of the Guru, then we can understand very gradually who are Radha and Krishna. So this worship of Gaur-Nitai is most essential if we actually want to enter into the Braja Prem and the pastimes of Braja Leela here in Vrindavan. Why have we all come to live in Vrindavan? Why are we all here today? Because each one of us has a desire that I want to go back to Godhead. I want to be in the pastimes of Radha and Krishna, Krishna and Balaram, all these wonderful pastimes, Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya. So if we really want to go back to Godhead, first we must take shelter of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, and assist them in their mission here in Kali Yuga. What is that mission? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. You hear every day thousands of devotees are chanting Hare Krishna. They come to the temple. They're receiving books. We're all a part of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission to bring the innocent souls, the unfortunate souls of Kali Yuga, back to Braja, back to Krishna's Leela. And we're all so fortunate to have our Guru to train us how to serve Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu in their mission. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Any questions? Yes.
Mataji, if someone doesn't want to associate with Guru or he doesn't want to take Guru and he just want to chant and he want to follow according to the instruction which are given to him.
Well, I'll tell you what happened to Richard. Because Richard didn't have a guru, because he had money, he bought for himself a little kutir on the banks of the Radhakund. And in those days, there was no toilet facilities in Radhakund. Everyone went out into the jungle to do their toilet, right? But he had toilet paper. And right there at the bank of the Radhakund, he would do his business. And the Babajis considered this to be such a great offense that he was offending Radhakund by not going far away out into the jungle, that they went to the police, they complained against him, the police came, they kicked him out of the country, he was never allowed to come back to India again. So this is what happens. If you don't have Guru, the simplest, Prabhupada, he had to teach us how to eat with our right hand. We didn't know the difference between left and right when we came to him. The Guru, he's just like a father. He teaches us every detail, just like a baby. So without Guru, we don't have a chance to understand, because we will commit offense at every step, because we don't have the protection of the Guru. Even we still commit so many offenses, but because we're under the protection of Srila Prabhupada, we have special mercy. Oh, they're just Angrezi, they'll learn someday. So this is the mercy of the Guru. We have to have a Guru. He protects us. And then despite all of our complete disqualification, none of us have any qualification to go back to Krishna. The Guru, he will personally drag us back to Krishna. Okay? Any more questions?
Thank you very much. I'm from Brazil, so my native language is not English. I will try my best. After so many years that Prabhupada came, 50 years or more, we have seen that many young people try to prematurely give up their material life and to become sannyasi, and many have problems. So, do you think we should still push this for young people yet?
Well, we had a photo in Srila Prabhupada's house when Prabhupada was present. The photo was taken when Prabhupada was in Mayapur, just a year before he left us. They had taken all of the sannyasis and put them on the steps of the Lotus building, you know. All the sannyasis were sitting there. There were about 28 sannyasis in the picture that Prabhupada had made before he left. And then Prabhupada left the planet. And one, the other, there were about 3 sannyasis left after about 10 years. So finally I took the picture down. I couldn't look at the picture anymore because there were only about 3 sannyasis left in that picture. So then the GBC, understanding exactly what you're saying, they made ministries, sannyas ministry, all different qualifications, just for this purpose. Because Prabhupada was very merciful and he had the whole world to conquer. So, although not fully qualified, he was accepting some of his disciples to give them sannyas so that they will go out to all different parts of the world. For instance, Brazil, Hridayananda Maharaj, he had gone to all over South America alone and made so many temples, so many devotees. He was a young man. He had just been married 1 year, and he and his wife decided that he should take sannyas. Because the urgency at that time when Prabhupada was present with us, he was only with us 11 years, Hridayananda Goswami, he decided, better I give up this family life immediately before I get entangled, and I just go preach and take sannyas. And his wife, Ananga Manjari, she agreed. So he went out and he conquered, he made so many devotees in South America, correct? Yes. So that was the special potency given by Srila Prabhupada. That potency is still there. But the GBC has now put up many different, you have to get recommendations, you have to be tested, you have to, so many things so that these things don't happen. You have to make sure that your wife is taken care of, you have to get permission, recommendations from this person, that person. So now there are boundaries that they don't so quickly give sannyas. There's a 10-year waiting list, a 5-year waiting list. We have sannyasis here who they had to wait so many years and they had to train underneath as an apprentice to another sannyasi. So now there's less opportunity of fall down because the GBC has made all of these restrictions for taking sannyas. Okay? Thank you. That's why, as a combined society, we all work under the auspices of the GBC set up by Prabhupada, because we have all learned from the previous mistakes that have been made, and we're rising up from those mistakes to make things on a higher level. Jai. Jai. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.